Spencer, congratulations, man, on making it as far as you did.
Thanks.
I have to ask, let's say you're in the final two with Tony. Do you still make that same speech that you did to the jury about how
he should win?
Yes.
No.
But you said you would have.
When did I say that?
You said, I will tell them to vote for you.
Right. I told a lie. I would not. I would never tell someone to vote against me. That said, I wouldn't have taken Tony to the end. Tony was, I think, the biggest threat left in the game, and so I would have wanted to go to the end against Cass or Wu.
Cass or Wu? Which is your choice?
Oh, Cass. Yeah, Cass. I think Wu. I think I would have beaten, but Cass I would have felt better about.
Do you think you could have beaten Tony?
I think I could have, yeah. I don't know if I would have. At the time, I did not think I would have. Because if I were on the jury, I would vote for Tony over me. And so, thinking that way, I didn't feel that confident. But in retrospect, I think I would have had at least a chance, of beating him.
Well, I have to say, I think everybody here tonight was really hoping that you were going to win. I think maybe as much as you, probably not. Talk about the devastation, getting your torch snuffed, and having that dream cut short at 4.
Yeah, that was, you said it, devastating. It was a huge dream, biggest passion probably I've ever felt in my life was playing Survivor, as the fan I am. So it was huge, but at the same time, if I'm not going to win, it doesn't mean that much. Close, far away, whatever. I had a lot of things go against me. I had a lot of things go for me. If I'm not winning, it's all the same to me. So it was devastating, but I've had some time to process it. I'm proud of the way I played. I had a lot of flaws in the way I played, but I'm nonetheless proud. So I'm finally think I'm getting some closure on it.
Does the apology from Jeff Probst make any difference in that?
In that, yeah. I mean, how can a letter from Jeff Probst not make a difference? That's always going to brighten your mood. It was a little emotional watching back, the getting voted out tonight. Any concerns I had, any lingering, bad feelings I had quickly went away, and that was like the highlight for me of tonight was getting a letter from Probst.
I'm sure everybody's asked you. Have you opened it and read it?
Not yet. I got whisked away right here interviewing with you guys, and I haven't gotten to read it yet.
Are you going to share that with people, or do you think that's something you're going to keep private?
Probably depends on what it says. But yeah, I'll probably share it. I'll probably carry it around with me. It's that's really cool for me, getting a letter from Jeff Probst, very cool.
Now, when you started the game way back at the beginning with the Brains team, you guys were terrible. Did you ever imagine that you would actually land in the 4?
No. I think the way the game started, so much went against me, and it's easy to say, oh, Spencer had so much going against him, but that almost worked out for me because I ended up in this position where I was an underdog and I was in the final 4 fighting for a chance to make it to the end where I feel like I had a really good chance to win. So as much as went wrong, a lot went right, and a lot of the things that I thought were going wrong ended up being part of my story that would have been compelling if I had made it to the end. So I didn't think I would have made it to the final 4, but once I did, I was almost in a weird way grateful that we had that really rough start.
Well, it really worked out for you from a fan perspective because people really did fall in love with your character on the show, and I think they want to see you play the game again. If you did get the shot to play the game again, which I think you probably will, what would you do differently?
Oh, God. A lot of things. I would do a lot of things differently. First and foremost, I would take those fleeting moments like the reward challenge where I'm with Jeffra and Jeremiah and Tasha, and those opportunities to make a decision and go with it and work off of instinct, which Tony did so well and I did very poorly. I would take those and I would just be more aggressive and I would go for things because you have to take calculated risks. I played a game where at times I was a little afraid to take a risk, and what I didn't realize is that it's a risk to not act. You think of doing something as a risk, but not doing something as a risk too. And in Survivor, you're gonna take risks, so you have to pick the right ones and go for them. And so just all those fleeting moments, the merge, with the final 11, how that vote went down, making sure everyone was secure, working off of instincts, when Jeffra went home, a lot of moments where I think I should have just gone with an instinct.
Let's say you get to play again. This is just a big question. I've asked several other castaways, and it's another All-Star edition. Who is your dream main ally in a former player?
My dream main ally? It would be someone that I felt like I could trust, which, a lot of good players are, they're out to win. So you always have to be careful. But I would love to just play with some of the people that I've idolized and just thought were legends of Survivor. I would love to play with Kim Spradlin. I think she's the best player to play Survivor as a fan, and that would be incredible, even though she'd probably kick my ass. But
How did you land a spot on the show?
I applied. I submitted a videotape, and I got to talking with casting in the 25-26 cycle, and it was a little late in the game, so they said, we'll put a pin in it, we'll return to this later. And so for 27-28, I started talking to casting again, and I got really lucky that I was able to go to LA, did the in-person interviews, argued with Jeff Probst, and they wanted to put me on, so I got really lucky.
Was he really that intense with you in the interview process?
Pretty intense. I think that we had this kind of relationship where I thought it was fun and funny to rile him up, and he thought it was fun and funny to rile me up, and so we would just liked pushing each other's buttons, and we got in a lot of arguments, so it was always interesting.
All right, what do you take away from this whole experience?
That's a big question. I would say I take away that maybe a lot of the ideas of myself that I used to have, I should reevaluate. It made me a little more introspective. Thinking about the way I played and the way I'm able to play. I said on the live show that Tony and I are on complete opposite ends of the spectrum of players, and I think that ways for me to improve and fix some of the holes in my game would be moving a little more towards that side. So I think I realized and became a little more realistic about who I am and realized what I have to work on.
Now, you brought up Tony. I will say I judged him like a book right off the bat. I thought he would be one of the first out. Did you have the same reaction when you saw him on the beach?
Yeah. I mean, I think people had that reaction with me too. So I should have been someone who wasn't too quick to judge, but I was quick to judge. When I met Tony, I thought he was a loudmouth, Jersey City guy who didn't know anything about strategy and was just out here being entertaining and being a loud personality. And he's set up really well that he is that loud personality, but underneath it all, he's very smart and very sharp. And if you can be in a position in Survivor where you exude not being a good player and are an amazing player like he is, you're set up really well.
All right, last question. Advice to a future player.
Number one piece of advice to a future player, I would say, don't overthink it. I think, maybe that pertains a little more to me than to most people, but you kind of have to just quickly assess the situation and go for something. And that goes especially in the beginning of the game with forming early alliances. A lot of the way that is formed is instincts and talking to people. Always be checking in with people. Always be focused on how do I make the thing that's in front of me go well. A lot of what I would do is overthink it and plan way, way, way ahead. And I think there tends to be a bad habit amongst players of planning way too much for the long term and not enough on the short term. And so I would say a big piece of advice is to be instinctive and really focus on the next few days, making sure this next vote goes your way. Because if you start planning all these contingencies and mapping out your win 10 moves in advance, chances are you're going to get blindsided, Sarah's going to get voted out, and you're like, what? All that's out the window. So yeah.
All right, well, it's nice meeting you. Congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
Thanks, Spencer.